A man came running up to me and said, "You reported a pack of lies. Your story's a pack of lies." So what's it like when you're going to a spot where you know everyone is angry? And you're going to a spot where you know the majority of people there are angry at the Post. They see the New York Post as either their enemy or fake news.
Get the f*** out!
I've been running for the Post for 13 years, so I've had my experience with this. At first, it was terrifying. Now, it's part of the job. Over the past year, one of the big stories that we've been covering has come to be referred to as the migrant crisis. Governor Abbott of Texas started busing migrants to New York City. The local community in Staten Island, they organized large protests. The first one, the police told me that it was roughly 1,000 people, and the police were having a tough time keeping control of it. So unfortunately, at this protest, one of the organizers, a man named Scott Lebedo, took exception to the New York Post's coverage. They took issue with the fact that the story at Gracie Mansion, the story about the protest, seemed to be more on Trump and Trump supporters than on the members of what he was saying, the members of Antifa that were there starting fights and attacking them physically. And that's what they were taking issue with, and took exception to the New York Post reporter being there, and in a very public and kind of mob mentality, kind of dangerous way, called her out and created a dangerous situation by, screaming things directly at her, directing the crowd to her, and things might have gotten really bad. She was whisked out of there by the armed security of another outlet's security force. In addition to physically shouting and scaring the heck out of the Post reporter, he also went online and doxed Haley Brown, our reporter who was at the scene, and Jorge Fitzgibbon, our rewrite on that story. And he called the New York Post the enemy. He said, find images of them, print them out, and go find them. That's completely unacceptable. The very next day, the Post sent me to Staten Island because we don't get shut out. We don't get run off. We don't do that. So they sent me back the day after our reporters were doxxed and run out of there. So when I arrived, I ran into the same people who had basically run off our reporter the night before. The police told me that the protesters were ready to tear apart reporters. And I just said, okay, I got plenty to tear apart. Let's see how this goes. And I just shrugged my shoulders and went over and started talking to people. A man came running up to me. He just kept putting his finger in my face, over and over again, putting his finger in my face and saying, "You reported a pack of lies. Your story's a pack of lies," over and over again in my face, yelling. I knew exactly what he wanted me to do. He wanted me to get in my car and go home. I couldn't do that. So I just calmly took out my phone and I pulled up the story that I had done. And I showed it to him. I said, "Is this the story you're talking about?" He said, "Yeah, it's a pack of lies." So I handed it to him. I handed my phone to him. And they all kind of just looked at me and I said, "Can you show me in this story exactly what's inaccurate? If anything in this story is inaccurate, I want to know about it because my name is on it. So please, show me what's a pack of lies. Show me anything in here that's inaccurate." And he went through, and every single thing that he pointed out and said it was false and I quickly proved to him and all those around me that they were 100% accurate, because the people he was standing with were my sources. Next. And he just went down, and every single thing he said that was a pack of lies was 100% accurate. And he was just saying, "You could have made other choices." I was like, I made the choices I make because I'm a newspaper reporter and I'm trying to tell a story accurately about what's going on here. But don't ever say that something I did was a pack of lies. At the end, he said, "Okay, I'm sorry. It's not a pack of lies, but you could have said this and you could have said that." And I was like, that's a lot different than pack of lies. And it just backed him right down. And after I had that interaction, I just did what I normally do. I interviewed everyone I could, both sides. That's what journalists do. They get the side of the story from everybody, and then they put it all together, and then the reader gets to decide what they think. And this isn't the first time that I've had to deal with threats, intimidation. It's not going to be the last time. If you want to report the truth, if you want to go out and do actual reporting and find out what's really going on, You're going to have to face this stuff, and you're going to have to walk through it and come out the other side. Otherwise, stay home and watch the news. If you enjoyed this behind-the-scenes look at my reporting, come on over to my YouTube channel where stories like this are uploaded every week.